Hi, and welcome to The World According to Jesse. I'm Brigido Santos with Jesse Ventura. Now, Governor, I hear your settlement regarding the Chris Kyle case went through. How are you feeling about that?
Well, you know, it ended up a settlement, but I'm still very upset over win.
We're going to talk all about the politicization of the courts today. Now, the Supreme Court determines the law of the land in the United States. Its decisions set precedents which all lower courts must then follow. Some of the high court's most famous cases have changed America's landscape forever. Roe v. Wade gave women the right to choose, Brown versus the Board of Education desegregated public schools, and Citizens United versus the Federal Election Commission gave corporations the right to unlimited spending in elections. Or by the Supreme Court overruling itself. Now, this is one reason presidents can appoint justices along party lines, and they tend to do so. But, Governor, these are lifetime appointments. How do you feel about that? Is it good or is it bad?
I think it's horrible. Job, how do you replace them? You can't. But there's ways that it could be done if we change things in the future, and it should be done.
Absolutely, and even the president doesn't get to serve a lifetime appointment.
Nobody does. You limit, and you had court experience and wanted the job, you would get it from me.
All right, let's look at some of the cases right now. The first one I want to cover that's being heard by the Supreme Court is Christie versus the National Collegiate Athletic Association. The case is challenging the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act. The federal law bans sports betting in all states other than Nevada. New Jersey residents had voted to legalize sports betting at state casinos and racetracks, but the NCAA and other pro sports leagues have opposed New Jersey's plan, which has now tied up those plans until the Supreme Court can determine whether states will finally be allowed to participate in this multi-billion-dollar industry. So what do you think about this case? What are the benefits of regulating the industry, which is now illegal?
Well, first of all, from our Supreme Court, that the other 49 states can't have. That is so unconstitutional, in my opinion, it makes me sick and I want to puke.
All right, moving on to the next case. Cell phone privacy is also being debated at the Supreme Court in Carpenter versus the United States. This case questions whether law enforcement has the right to search and seize a suspect's mobile. Do you think that law enforcement should have the right to search and seize our cell phone records without a warrant? What do you think?
No, not without a warrant. Then you're not violating the Fourth Amendment, are you? You're doing it the proper way. See, they're all trying to do these shortcuts. It's all about, oh, let's evade the Constitution, let's evade the Bill of Rights. These documents don't mean nothing today anyway. That's the attitude that our government has today.
All right, overturning Supreme Court decisions is very difficult, and sometimes even justices themselves regret the outcome. Ruth Bader Ginsburg says she regrets the Citizens United ruling, and she says it's the one decision she would undo if she were allowed to. Sandra Day O'Connor says she regrets her decision in the Bush v. Gore ruling, which gave George W. Bush the swing vote he needed to claim victory over Al Gore in the 2000 presidential election. Governor, would you also like to see Citizens United overturned?
Absolutely. That is the word, that when that get a benefit here and a benefit there, and then it's the worst decision. It's a decision that when it happened, I made the statement, this will be the downfall of American politics, and being proved right every election. Corporations now control.
Bring up is Masterpiece Cake Shop versus the Colorado Civil Rights Commission. This case involves the owner of a Colorado bakery who had refused to make a wedding cake for a gay couple. The shop owner cited his First Amendment rights, claiming that selling the cake goes against his religious beliefs. But a state court has now ruled in favor of the couple, saying that the baker violated Colorado state law. The case has now moved up and been escalated to the Supreme Court, where it's now being heard. And the outcome could go either way here because the justices are divided. Now, a decision is expected in June. Do you think it's reasonable for the government to require places like this bakery that serve the public to provide those services without discriminating based on sexual orientation?
You know, this is a tough one. It really is, because I can see both sides to this. Affect him. He's building a cake. A cake, come on. And so what if it's a gay couple? Once he sells have the right in this country, gay people to marry each other now. And I don't think that cake makers should be involving themselves. If he didn't like it, then have a subordinate make the cake and he don't have to then. There's ways around all this, and it'll be interesting to see what they do on this one.
Definitely. All right, it's time for a quick break. When we return, Judge Jim Gray joins Jesse with more on the American judicial system. We asked people on Twitter, do you think the Supreme Court justices should be appointed for life? Why or why?
Didn't even enter into the process.
All right, we're getting to the end of the show, but before we go, I want to get your final thoughts on federal judge appointments. Now, the president is pushing appointees through the system at the highest rate we've ever seen in 50 years. Now, many of these deeply conservative judges are young, and they're going to serve lifetime appointments. At least one of the 5 who have been advanced so far has been labeled unqualified by the American Bar Association. These judges will change the legal landscape, and the voters have absolutely no say here. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's